Hi, so I want to give a little introduction into factoring quadratics. So I am going to be showing you just the puzzle method or this one piece to factoring quadratics, okay? I just want to get you introduced to this, okay? So I've already kind of got our puzzle set up. And when we do this, and I'll get more into this, but this is going to be your A times your C, and this number is going to be your B, okay? I will explain what A times C is and what the B is when we actually start looking at the equation. But I just want to kind of put this here just so you kind of have that in the back of your mind. So when you start setting this up, always know this one's your A times C and this one's your B. And I will explain all that later, but let's just go ahead and get into it. So how to fill out this puzzle, okay? We need two numbers that multiply to 2. But those same two numbers have to add to 3. Those same two numbers have to add to 3. So let's think about what numbers can multiply to equal 2. So 1 times 2 equals 2. And that's it. Nothing else can multiply to 2. So let's just try it in our blank. So we have 1 times 2 equals 2. And let's see if it would work in these blanks. 1 plus 2 equals 3. That is correct, okay? This is the only option we have when we are, trying to think about what multiplies to equal 2, and it actually works. Let's look at another example, okay? Same here, where we know that this is going to be our A times C, and this one's going to be our B. And I will show you what all that is, but I want you to have it in the back of your mind, okay? So, what two numbers multiply to 5? Let's write it out. 1 times 5, okay? That's all. Now, we need these two numbers to equal -6. So, but they need to multiply to a positive 5. So how can we use these same numbers to make it, to multiply to be positive 5, but add to a -6? So 1 times 5 is a positive 5, but 1 plus 5 would be a positive 6. What I like to do is go ahead and think about, all right, if we know that there's a negative here, then there's going to be a negative somewhere in here. And actually, both of them are going to be negative. Because -1 times -5 equals negative times negative is a positive 5. So that works. -1 times -5 is a positive 5. And -1 plus a -5 gives us a -6. Let's go ahead and look at another example, okay? Down here, we know that this is going to be your A times your C. I'll explain all that, and this is going to be your B, okay? So we need two numbers to multiply to 18, but the same two numbers have to add to 11. So we have 18. Let's go ahead and write our factors of 18. So we have 1 times 18 is 18. 2 times 9 is 18. 3 times 6 is 18. Let me scoot that over, sorry. And that's all we've got, right? 4 times something does not equal 18. 5 times whatever does not equal 18. So we're gonna stop here, okay? Now, which one of these would add to be 11? So 1 and 18, there is no way that this could equal 11. 1 plus 18 plus 1, or 1 plus 18 would be 19. 18 minus 1 would be 17. So there's no way that this one could ever equal 11. 2 plus 9 equals 11. Wow, okay. 2 plus 9 equals 11. 3 plus 6 would be 9, so that doesn't even equal 11. So we know this is going to be 2 here and a 9 here, a 2 here and a 9 here. I always kind of look at how many different ways can these equal this. Let's go back and look at one more example. I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to go ahead and erase these pieces, and we're going to fill these blanks in with different numbers. I mean, it's kind of fun when you get into it, okay? So I've got this. Well, let's try -42 and -1, okay? We know that this number is going to end up being your A times your C, and this one's going to be your B. And don't worry, I'll tell you what that is in our next video. So let's think about all of our factors of 42. Let's just start there. So we've got 1 times 42. We've got 2 times 21. Let's keep going with it. 3 times 14. We've got 6 times 7. And that's all we can do. These are the only sets of numbers that can, multiply to be 42. Now, we know that the answer has to multiply to be a negative. Okay? So we know one of these numbers, out of whichever set is going to have to be a negative. Okay? Now, we're going to have to know that it's going to have to equal and when they add together, it's going to have to equal a -1. So let's see if any of these combinations can even get us to a 1, okay? And then we'll figure out when we subtract which one it's going to be, okay? So 42 and 1, if we did 1 minus 42 or 42 minus 1, it would be a 40. So that doesn't bring us close to a -1. 21 minus 2. That doesn't bring us close to a 1, because 21 minus 2 is 19. Nope, doesn't bring us close to a 1. 14 minus 3, 14 minus 3 would be an 11. Doesn't bring us close to 1. 7 minus 6, okay, this one's bringing us closer to a 1. Now, we have to determine which one's going to be negative. So 7 minus 6, if we did a -6, that's a positive 1. That means this one's going to have to be the -7. So let's try it. So 6 times -7 is -42. 6 plus -7 is a -1.